Good morning from Mission Control in Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room as you look live at the Soyuz MS-12 spacecraft flying 260 miles above the South Atlantic on a track from southwest to northeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. In the center section of that Soyuz, 3 crew members: NASA astronaut Nick Hague, Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexey Ovchinin, and Hazzaa Ali Almansoori, the visiting astronaut from the United Arab Emirates, are buttoned up inside the descent module of the Soyuz spacecraft, suited up in their Russian Sokol launch and entry suits, ready for undocking from the International Space Station about 36 minutes from now to begin the ride home and a landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan in their Soyuz spacecraft, with landing scheduled at 5:59 and 45 seconds a.m. Central Time, 6:59 and 45 seconds a.m. Eastern Time, which will be just a few seconds before 5 p.m. Kazakhstan time at the landing site. Everything is in readiness for the return of Hague, Ovchinin, and Almansoori. They suited up in their Sokol launch and entry suits a couple of hours ago, conducted leak checks at the docking interface between their Soyuz spacecraft and the Rosviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. Their suits are in good shape. The Soyuz systems are activated and all up and running in great shape. As you see the positioning of the crew as they will be seated in the descent module, Alexey Ovchinin in the center seat as the Soyuz commander. To his left, Nick Hague, board engineer number 1. The left seat being basically the backup to the Soyuz commander. And in the right seat, Almansoori, the visiting astronaut from the United Arab Emirates, who will be board engineer number 2 to the right of Ovchinin as they begin the descent back to Earth for a landing just a few hours from now to complete their mission. They will leave behind 6 crew members on the International Space Station, led now by the new expedition commander, Luca Parmitano, in the center of your screen in this crew portrait from the European Space Agency. He took over command of the International Space Station on Wednesday morning from off-going Expedition 60 commander Alexey Ovchinin. They remain on board with Drew Morgan of NASA, Alexander Skvortsov of Roscosmos, Alex Grapochka of Roscosmos, and NASA astronauts Jessica Meir and Christina Cook, who will be a 6-person crew for the next several months on board the orbital outpost. The entry and landing operations are being controlled essentially from the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov on the outskirts of Moscow. You see this live view from a balcony camera overlooking the large flight control room there that operates the international segment operations of the International Space Station. Russian flight controllers have been talking to Ovchinin and the other crew members on board the Soyuz MS-12. The call sign for the Soyuz vehicle from this point on through landing is Burlock. That is the call sign taken up by Ovchinin, as was the case for the launch phase back in March of this crew to the International Space Station. Burlock is the name of people who helped haul barges and other vessels upstream from the 17th to the 20th centuries in the Russian Empire. Burlock will be the call sign that you'll hear the Russian shift flight director call out as he is addressing Ovchinin on board the Soyuz vehicle during the undocking phase and through the deorbit through landing phase of activities on the International Space Station. When Ovchinin, Hague, and Almansoori land a few hours from now, Ovchinin and Hague will have logged 203 days in space on this mission and aboard the International Space Station, a mission that has encompassed 3,248 orbits of the Earth and 86.1 million statute miles. Almansoori, who launched last week from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan under an intergovernmental agreement between the United Arab Emirates and Roscosmos, will have spent 8 days in space, 128 orbits of the Earth, 3.3 million statute miles in this, his first flight into space. 2.5 hours ago, this trio coming home in their Soyuz spacecraft had an opportunity to say farewell to the other 6 crew members on board the station. This replay of the hatch closing activities that took place at 11:20 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday night. You see Hazzaa Ali Almansoori on your right, Alexey Ovchinin by the hatchway, and there's NASA astronaut Nick Hague as they posed for a few final pictures that were taken by their crew members, waved goodbye, and then one by one made their way through the hatchway into the descent module of the Soyuz MS-12 spacecraft. They then closed the hatch behind them. Alexander Skvortsov, remaining on board as part of the Expedition 61 crew, closed the hatch on the station side of the docking interface between the 2 vehicles and began the process of conducting leak checks that leading to the depressurization of the small vestibule or passageway between the Soyuz and the Rassvet module, to which this vehicle has been attached since March 15th earlier this year. For Hague and Ovchinin, this completes a long cycle of activities that actually began with their training more than 2 years ago. Almost 1 year ago, on October 11th, 2018, they were involved in the now infamous launch abort that took place in the Soyuz MS-10 spacecraft that experienced a booster separation anomaly just 2 minutes after launch. Resulting in the triggering of the launch escape system that enabled them to be pulled free from their distressed Soyuz booster underneath them and enabled them to parachute to a safe entry and landing 19 minutes later on the steppe of Kazakhstan, not far from where their landing will take place this morning or this afternoon Kazakhstan time to complete their nominal mission. That launch abort was conducted with the Soyuz behaving in exactly the manner it was designed to in the event of a launch problem that took place 2 minutes after launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Their landing was followed just a few days later by them being reassigned to the Soyuz MS-12 spacecraft, in which they launched successfully back on March 15th Kazakhstan time, March 14th U.S. time, along with NASA astronaut Christina Koch, who will remain on board the International Space Station till next February in a long-duration flight, an extended mission that will last 328 days. Again, the hatch closing took place at 11:20 p.m. Central Time, 12:20 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday morning, followed by leak checks. The crew then climbed into their Sokol launch and entry suits and conducted all of the requisite suit leak checks, all of that being in great shape. The flight control team here in Houston has completed its poll of its flight controllers to get a go for undocking, with the undocking command to be issued about 27.5 minutes from now. That will initiate the opening of the hooks holding the Soyuz spacecraft in place to the Rassvet module, about a 90-second process, and that will be the precursor to the actual physical separation of the Soyuz from the Rassvet module, with springs on both sides of the docking interface pushing off against one another to enable the Soyuz to fly free of the International Space Station. The undocking is scheduled at 2:37 and 30 seconds a.m. Central Time, 3:37 and 30 seconds a.m. Eastern Time, with, again, that physical separation followed 3 minutes later by an 8-second automated separation burn of the Soyuz engines to increase an opening rate away from the station to a safe distance away from the vehicle for the deorbit burn that will take place at 5:06 a.m. Central Time, 6:06 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, this live view now once again of the Soyuz MS-12 as it moves just off the southeastern coast of Africa, soon to cross the coast of Madagascar, moving from southwest to northeast as countdown clocks here tick backward toward the undocking of the Soyuz from the International Space Station. Once again, the undocking that is scheduled about 27 minutes from now will be initiated with the separation of the Soyuz vehicle from the Rassvet module. In this animation, you see the undocking process take place. The Soyuz again will move to a safe distance away from the International Space Station for the deorbit burn that will be initiated at 5:06 a.m. Central Time. This is a 4-minute, 42-second retrograde firing, a braking maneuver to slow the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second, allowing it to drop out of orbit for its high-speed entry back into the Earth's atmosphere. The pyrotechnic separation of the 3 sections of the Soyuz will take place at 5:34 a.m. Central Time, 6:34 a.m. Eastern Time. All that's left at that point is the descent module with the 3 crew members on board, with the heat shield repelling the high temperatures that will build up around the spacecraft in the plasma regime. The command to open up parachutes will be initiated at 5:45 a.m. Central Time, 6:45 a.m. Eastern Time. First a drogue chute, then 2 pilot parachutes, and then the main chute that will significantly slow down the descent rate of the Soyuz vehicle. Just a few seconds before touchdown, soft landing engines will fire in a final braking maneuver. Touchdown again scheduled at 5:59 and 45 seconds a.m. Central Time, 6:59 a.m. and 45 seconds Eastern Time. Just a few seconds before 5 p.m. at the landing site in Kazakhstan, which will be 1 hour and 58 minutes before sunset. The Russian search and recovery forces and a NASA team embedded with that search and recovery team is airborne in a Russian Antonov 26 aircraft from the staging city of Karaganda, Kazakhstan, down to an airfield in Zhezkazgan, which is about 90 miles to the northwest of the landing site itself. Once the Antonov arrives in Zhezkazgan, the landing team members will be deployed to a variety of almost a dozen Mi-8 helicopters that will be airborne around the time of the deorbit burn for the landing site itself. They will arrive at the landing site in a racetrack pattern around the area of the final trajectory of the descent of the Soyuz spacecraft, and after touchdown they will land in sequential fashion one by one to begin the process of arriving at the capsule itself and begin the work to extract the crew, get them into chairs so that they can have a few minutes to regain their equilibrium and to enable television cameras at the landing site to show the whole process before they are carried in those chairs into a nearby inflatable medical tent to be attended to for initial medical exams, to get out of their Sokol launch and entry suits into more comfortable flight clothing before they are brought back into helicopters, 3 helicopters, 1 for each crew member, with accompanying flight surgeons and nurses, to be flown 2 hours back to the staging city of Karaganda, Kazakhstan. There they will split up with Ovchinin and Almansoori boarding a Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center aircraft for the flight back to their training base at Star City, Russia, just outside of Moscow. Nick Hague will board a NASA Gulfstream jet that's at the Karaganda airport for the flight back to Houston.
Moscow. Station and space to ground 2.
This is a view from the external camera on the Soyuz MS-12. You'll be seeing reciprocal views at the time of undocking from both the Soyuz and the cameras you've been seeing on the truss of the International Space Station that will show the departure of the Soyuz vehicle. Again, undocking is scheduled at 2:37 and 30 seconds a.m. Central Time, 3:37 and 30 seconds a.m. Eastern Time. That will be about 90 seconds after the command is issued to initiate the opening of the hooks that have held the Soyuz in place to the Rassvet module docking port since March 15th.
I confirm that I have the video from the TV camera on marked display. Copy. Thank you. Alexander, let's switch to space to ground 1. Okay, copy.
This view of the Soyuz MS-12 as it passes off the northeast coast of Madagascar, across the Indian Ocean, moving from southwest to northeast at an altitude of 260 miles. Again, at the lower portion of your screen, that bulbous section of the Soyuz is the orbital module that contains the avionics and the forward docking probe. The docking mechanism was powered up a few hours ago in preparation for the undocking of the Soyuz from the Roscosmos module. The center section of the Soyuz is the descent module, as we have mentioned. That's where the crew is strapped into their respective seats. Nick Hague in the left seat, Alexey Ovchinin, the Soyuz commander, in the center seat, and Hazzaa Ali Almansoori of the United Arab Emirates in the right seat, just to the right of Ovchinin. The descent module, again, the only section of the Soyuz that survives re-entry for a parachute-assisted landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan. The lower section of the Soyuz with the solar arrays, that's the instrumentation and propulsion module that contains the propulsion tanks and all of the hardware associated with the engines and the thrusters that have been used up to this point in the flight of the Soyuz MS-12.
This is Burlak 1. Go ahead, Moscow. How are you feeling? We're feeling great.
Это хорошо. Бурлаки, значит, включаем.
Burlaki, you're going to activate class M transmitter at 10:25. Please make a note. 10:25:00. Yes, that's correct. 10:25:00. Please send R17 command and activate display and TV mode. Copy. At 10:25:00, we're going to send R17 command and we will activate display and TV.
Принято.
Copy.
The weather at the landing site, which is about 91 statute miles to the southeast of the town of Roscosmos in Kazakhstan, the south central steppe of Kazakhstan, that weather is ideal. Clear skies, temperatures around 62 degrees Fahrenheit forecast at landing time, which again is about an hour and 58 minutes before sunset local time at the landing site. With any luck at all, we should be able to see the vehicle under its parachutes, hopefully all the way down shortly after shoot deploy, which is typically about 15 minutes before touchdown. Once again, the search and recovery forces, Rosaviatsia is what it's called, the Civil Air Patrol that provides civil air service support for the Russian Federation. They are about to arrive in the town of Roscosmos at the airfield there, where they will disembark from an Antonov 26 aircraft that flew them from Karaganda, the staging city for tonight's landing operations. They will then board Russian Mi-8 helicopters. There are 14 helicopters in play for tonight's landing, 12 prime helicopters and 2 in reserve. 2 of those helicopters are actually at the airport they call the Kraini Airport in Baikonur at the launch site. They would be dispatched to the ballistic landing site in the unlikely event of a malfunction on the Soyuz that would result in a shortfall, a landing short of the prime landing site that you see on this map. There are 10 other helicopters that are at the Roscosmos airport, 2 of which will fly to the midpoint between the ballistic site and the prime landing site, and 10 other helicopters will be dispatched to the prime landing site again. They will be flown in sequential fashion, one by one, and arrive at the landing site in a racetrack pattern, awaiting the touchdown of the Soyuz at the landing site, after which they will land one by one. The first series of helicopters will be with the RSC Energia technical personnel who will see to the safing of the spacecraft and the initial extraction of the crew. Other support helicopter personnel, including NASA personnel, will be arriving within minutes thereafter, also at the landing site to welcome home the crew and recover some of the cargo samples that are being returned in the Soyuz spacecraft this morning. Now just 16 minutes away from the initiation of the undocking command to begin the opening of the hooks, holding the Soyuz in place. It then will fly free and begin the journey home for Nick Hague, Alexey Ovchinin, and Hazzaa Ali Almansoori. There are two other Soyuz vehicles that are docked to the International Space Station to provide the lifeboat support, if you will, for the other 6 crew members left behind as part of the Expedition 61 crew. In fact, technically, Expedition 61 will begin at the moment of undocking, just about 16.5 minutes from now, under the command of European Space Agency astronaut Luca Parmitano, who took over command of the station in the change of command ceremony on Wednesday morning from off-going Expedition 60 commander Alexey Ovchinin. The Soyuz MS-13 spacecraft is currently docked to the Poisk module on the space-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. The Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft, which was launched last week from Baikonur with Russian cosmonaut Alex Gripochka, Almansoori, and NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, that is docked to the aft port of the Zvezda service module. Just to run down the key times that lie ahead here in the timeline that will lead to the landing of the Expedition 60 crew and Hazzaa Ali Almansoori a few hours from now. Once again, we're standing by for the undocking command that will open up the hooks holding the Soyuz spacecraft to the Rosviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the station. That command to be issued just 13 minutes from now. 90 seconds later at 2:37 and 30 seconds a.m. Central Time, we'll have physical separation. Springs on both sides of the docking interface will push off against one another, enabling the Soyuz MS-12 spacecraft to fly free from the International Space Station. 3 minutes later at 2:40 and 30 seconds a.m. Central Time, an 8-second automated burn of the Soyuz engines will be initiated to increase an opening rate for the Soyuz away from the space station, ultimately to arrive at a point about 62 miles away from the station for the deorbit burn that will take place at 5:06 and 19 seconds a.m. Central Time. A 4-minute, 42-second retrograde firing that will slow the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second, enabling it to drop out of orbit for its high-speed entry back into the Earth's atmosphere. The pyrotechnic separation of the 3 sections of the Soyuz vehicle, the module separation, that will be computer commanded at 5:34 and 12 seconds a.m. Central Time at an altitude of 140 kilometers above the Earth. Atmospheric entry, the crew reaching the first traces of the Earth's atmosphere, is scheduled at 5:37 and 3 seconds a.m. Central Time. Entry interface will take place at an altitude of 326,444 feet above the Earth, or 61.9 miles. At that point, Hague, Ovchinin, and Almansoori will feel the first tug of Earth's gravity against their bodies. For Hague and Ovchinin, their first sensation of gravity in 203 days, and 8 days for Almansoori. Within a minute and a half after that, they will enter into the plasma regime, where basically a fireball will build up around the Soyuz spacecraft. That heat, building up to 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, will be ablated by the Soyuz heat shield. Entry into the plasma regime is scheduled at 5:38 and 34 seconds a.m. Central Time, and will last for about 4.5 minutes. Following their exit from that plasma regime as they go lower and lower into the Earth's atmosphere, the command to open up the parachutes at 6.6 miles above the landing site will be initiated at 5:45 and 24 seconds a.m. Central Time. And from that point on, we'll be poised to see the vehicle under the chutes if we're lucky, and landing scheduled again at 5:59 and 45 seconds a.m. Central Time, which will be 4:59 and 45 seconds p.m. Kazakhstan time at the landing site.
Do you see the video? Not yet. At 10:30:00, we are ready to send E2 command. Copy. And we confirm. Please send E2 command at 10:30:00 using your control panel. Copy.
Less than 9.5 minutes now until the undocking command that will initiate the opening of the hooks holding the Soyuz MS-12 in place at the Roscosmos module. Everything is in great shape. All the Soyuz systems are operating normally. Nick Hague in the left seat of the descent module of the Soyuz, along with his Soyuz commander Alexey Ovchinin, having launched together back on March 15th, Kazakhstan time, March 14th, U.S. time, in the home stretch of a 203-day mission spanning 86.1 million miles. Hazzaa Ali Almansoori of the United Arab Emirates, an F-16 fighter pilot who launched last week with Alexey and Jessica Mir on the Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft, completing 8 days in space and a mission of 3.3 million miles to become the first Emirati citizen to fly in space. Word now that all of the search and recovery forces personnel and the NASA team along with them have arrived at the airfield in Zhezkazgan, which is the interim point for landing operations, having flown 2 hours on an Antonov aircraft from Karaganda, the staging city for tonight's landing. They now will transition to those Russian Mi-8 helicopters and be deployed sequentially in the helicopters for the landing site at about the time of the deorbit burn.
Минута до выдачи команды.
1 minute remaining prior to command execution. Yes, we confirm. Command has been sent at 10:30:00. E2 command. Send. Copy.
The International Space Station is currently flying 260 miles over the southern border of Russia, near the Chinese border at the moment. 5.5 minutes until the undocking command. Hague, Ovchinin, Almansoori all set to begin the ride away from the station to a safe distance, and the initiation of a deorbit burn at 5:06 a.m. Central Time that will begin the ride home through the Earth's atmosphere to a landing site 91 miles to the southeast of the town of Zhezkazgan, Kazakhstan. Five minutes now until the undocking command to open up the hooks holding the Soyuz spacecraft to the Rosviet module.
Okay, so there is ИКВ inhibit instruction. Copy, Alexey. You can start step 3, Alexey. Undocking preparation. Copy. I'm sending R7 command. The R7 is sent. Copy. S17 command is being sent. I'm activating headlight. Copy. And also R5 AGC once. That's correct. R5.
Inside 4 minutes now until the undocking command is issued.
And I'm
the International Space Station flying over central China.
Now it is the full screen image. Copy. D2 is not illuminated. S16 indicator is not illuminated. At 10:35:00, D7 will be sent. Please prepare D7 command. Copy, and we confirm that the command should be sent at 10:35:00. Copy. We got the confirmation from you, the time when D7 should be sent. The command is ready. We are receiving the image in Moscow. Copy.
Coming up on the 2.5-minute mark until the initiation of the undocking command, as Nick Hague and Alexey Ovchinin are about to bid farewell to what has been their orbital home since March 15th. Hazzaa Ali Almansoori wrapping up 8 days at the International Space Station under an intergovernmental agreement between the United Arab Emirates and Roscosmos. Again, at the moment of undocking, Expedition 61 will formally begin under the command of European Space Agency astronaut Luca Parmitano. One minute now until the undocking command is issued.
The 7 command is sent at 10:35:00. The 11, the 15.
The International Space Station now in free drift. No thruster firings that would perturbate the undocking of the Soyuz from the Roscosmos module.
We are ready to send the 17 command. Copy. It is page 42.
Бурлаки, разрешаем вам выдать команду в заданное время D-17.
Buрлаки, it's a go to send the 17 command at 10:36:00. Copy.
10 seconds away from the initiation of the undocking command to begin the opening of the hooks holding the Soyuz in place at the Roscosmos module.
The command is sent at 10:36:00.
And the undocking command is now being issued.
S13 is not eliminated. S11 is eliminated. We are going to page 8.
The hooks are driving open.
Copy.
Less than a minute away from physical separation.
Mechanical contact indicator is not eliminated at 10:37:05. Copy.
Standing by for undocking. And we have undocking.
SSVP mode.
The Soyuz MS-12 now flying free from the International Space Station. Undocking confirmed at 2:37:30 a.m. Central Time as the International Space Station flew 260 miles over southeast Mongolia.
So 1 and 2 is illuminated. We can see the docking interface. It is clean. No foreign objects or FOD there.
The first lap on the way home for Nick Hague, Alexey Ovchinin, and Hazzaa Ali Almansoori. Undocking occurring on time at 2:37:30 a.m. Central Time.
Of the thrusters.
Two minutes away from the separation burn, an 8-second automated firing of the Soyuz engine to initiate a more aggressive opening rate from the International Space Station. Hague, Ovchinin, and Almansoori flying free from the International Space Station, which is now under the command of Luca Parmitano of the European Space Agency. Expedition 61 has officially begun. The Soyuz and the International Space Station flying over the far eastern corner of Russia.
Copy. DPO operation is on.
The Soyuz separation burn underway. Again, an 8-second burn to increase the opening rate.
8 seconds, DPO operation. We have
and the separation burn is complete.
Of the cycle. Copy. Those 1, 2, and 3 not illuminated, and accelerometer and Naduf KDO. Messages. Copy. Go to page 85. Copy page 85. Nick, you can have the right one. I will have the left one. Copy. Info 1 and 2. I am sending E1 command. E1 is sent.
Так. Есть выбор ДПО К1, К2.
Okay, I have
выбор ДПО К1, выдаем А1.
DPO K1 and K2. Yes, send A11 command. Alexey, copy. I'm sending A11 command. A11 is sent. A13 is not illuminated. Copy.
Готов отключить ССВП.
I am ready to deactivate SSVP, docking internal transfer system. Copy, it's a go. SSVP is not activated anymore. D11 is not illuminated. LED D17 not illuminated. G17 is not illuminated. S Sierra 11 not illuminated. So I'm sending S18 command to deactivate the headlights. It's a go. Copy. In work.
Так, время 10.
The time 10:42:55. Spherical tank 1. Pressure 176. In number 2 176. Propellant 517. Copy. And with your permission, we are ready to deactivate the TV mode and to send G4 command. Бурлаки, not do it late yet. So let's go to the display. Info and look at the descent data. Copy. Going to info display. The line Techen servicing systems. Okay, we have info display open. Yes, we can see that on our screens. Thank you.
Здесь те же данные, которые мы записали.
The same data that we have already recorded. You can see here.
Так, сейчас сверим данные.
Let's verify the data on the info display with the data that we have recorded in the procedures. Yes, you can do
It's been 7 minutes since the Soyuz MS-12 that you see in this view separated from the Rosviet module of the International Space Station. Alexey Ovchinin in the center seat of the center section of the Soyuz and the descent module, flanked to his left by board engineer number 1, NASA astronaut Nick Hague, and on his right by visiting astronaut Hazzaa Ali Almansoori of the United Arab Emirates.
Activation time is the same.
Ovchinin is currently entering data into the onboard computer, basically descent parameters that will be the precursor for the deorbit burn that's coming up at 5:06 and 19 seconds a.m. Central Time. that will slow the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second. A burn of 4 minutes 42 seconds in duration that will enable the Soyuz to drop out of orbit to begin its entry back into the Earth's atmosphere, and a landing just seconds before 6 a.m. Central Time, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. To be precise, the current landing time is forecast to be 5:59:45 a.m. Central Time, 6:59:45 a.m. Eastern Time, just a few seconds before 5 p.m. at the landing site in Kazakhstan. The current landing site coordinates being provided by Russian ballistics are 47.20 degrees north latitude, 69.36 degrees east longitude, and that would put the landing site about 92 miles to the southeast of the town of Jezkazgan.
The SKD is the same.
Мы также подтверждаем.
We confirm the GK is correct.
Принято.
So we confirm that the data is correct as well from the ground. Copy, Moscow.
Вы обратили внимание, что появился признак спуска.
Now the flag descent has appeared. Could you please confirm, Dima? I didn't copy.
Мы завели уставки на спуск и
We entered the descent settings, and you should have received the flag descent. Yes, we confirm. We have descent flag. Copy.
Бурлаки, если контроль по формату инфо
Бурлаки,
включите телевидение.
if you have completed the monitoring and comparing data on the info display, now you can deactivate TV mode. Copy. We have completed the verification, and I am deactivating television. So TV mode is deactivated, and also relay should be deactivated. G4 command should be sent. Copy. Page 85. G4. I have sent.
Flying 260 miles over the northwest Pacific south of the Bering Sea, the Soyuz MS-12 spacecraft continues to fly away from the International Space Station. Nick Hague, Alexey Ovchinin, and Hazzaa Ali Almansoori having boarded the vehicle several hours ago, bidding farewell to their 6 crewmates who remain on board the station as the newly comprised Expedition 61 crew under the command of European Space Agency astronaut Luca Parmitano. The undocking of the Soyuz from the Rosviet module of the International Space Station occurring on time at 2:37 a.m. Central Time, 3:37 a.m. Eastern Time. 3 minutes later, the Soyuz engine was fired for 8 seconds in an automated burn, a separation burn to increase the opening rate of the station, of the Soyuz away from the International Space Station. Eventually, the Soyuz will be at a position some 62 miles away from the station, well away from the complex, for a 4-minute, 42-second deorbit burn, a retrograde firing of the Soyuz's main engine to slow the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second, allowing it to drop out of orbit for its descent back into the Earth's atmosphere, and a landing at 5:59 and 45 seconds a.m. Central Time, 6:59 and 45 seconds a.m. Eastern Time, just to the southeast of the town of Jezkazgan.
Guys, this is Alexander. You know, it was beautiful, this separation, the vehicle from the station. Alexander, are you missing us already? Yes, we were waving at you. You know, we're also waving at you using our feet and hands. Well, you know, we wish you all the very best on the station. Thank you, guys, and we wish you a successful descent. Thank you.
That final exchange between Soyuz commander Alexey Ovchinin aboard the free-flying Soyuz MS-12 spacecraft and his colleagues on the International Space Station, who he bid farewell to along with Nick Hague and Hazzaa Ali Almansoori a few hours ago. Soyuz now poised for its return to Earth, having undocked a few minutes ago at 2:37 a.m. Central Time, 3:37 a.m. Eastern Time over southeast Mongolia. And now the stage is set for the deorbit burn and the return to Earth of the 3 Expedition 60 crew members, with landing scheduled a few seconds before 6 a.m. Central Time, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. With that, we'll wrap up our undocking coverage, and we'll be back on the air in about an hour and a half from now at 4:30 a.m. Central Time for our deorbit and landing coverage on NASA television as Hague, Ovchinin, and Almansoori begin the journey home to complete for Hague and Ovchinin 203 days in space, for Almansoori 8 days in space. We'll be back at 4:30 Central Time, 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time with all of the coverage for deorbit and landing. Until then, have a good morning. This is Mission Control Houston.